Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Now More Than Ever. For those of you who are joining in new, this is a show where we bring in two amazing, inspiring, positive stories from across the country. And this is episode 22, which means we basically brought to you more than 50 positive stories, 22 days in a row. So this is a show now more than ever. Please come in. Please let your friends and family know. You will be amazed by the two awesome stories that we bring to you every single day. Today, of course, before we get started, I do want to call out that today's episode we do kind of bring in with a heavy heart. Today, April 29th, is when India lost one of its most versatile actors, Irfan Khan, at that too at a very early age of 54. Irfan, of course, had a striking career spanning 3 decades. He began his career in television and really moved across media and genres. So it's a big loss. It's a big loss for humanity. He moved hearts with his portrayal of everyday characters in movies such as The Namesake, The Lunchbox, and Life in a Metro, and many more. I think his roles really made him a much-loved personality whom audiences could easily relate with, and that's one of the really sad notes of today that we've had. In fact, we have one sort of a very pertinent tribute to him, which I will just play now.
वो आम आदमी था, आपके और मेरे जैसा। रोज चिट्ठियां लिखता, कभी प्रेमिका का साथ ढूंढता, कभी जिंदगी की रेस में दौड़ता, कभी पिता का धर्म निभाता, तो कभी बेटे के गम में डूब जाता। अपने संघर्ष की दास्तां खुद सुनाता, आखिरी दम तक लड़ता और फिर थक कर सो जाता। वो आम आदमी था, आपके और मेरे जैसा। वो आप में था, वो मुझ में है, वो हम में रहेगा। अलविदा इरफान।
So yes, that's been the sad part. We really wish rest in peace, Irfan. His passing does leave a void in Indian cinema. So almost as if it's mirroring our mood, the weather here in Bangalore has been grey today. We faced heavy rain last night that continued all the way into midday today. Within minutes, in fact, drains were flooded and water has overflowed onto the roads. And this scenario of urban flooding, in fact, is something that Mumbai faces every monsoon. And every year we read about how rapid deforestation is one of the main causes of this. Rapid deforestation and rapid concretization of all our spaces. So today's first story on the show Now More Than Ever. The first story is about a group of 24 Mumbaikars who have revived a 65-acre piece of land 3 hours from Mumbai. This land was collectively bought by the group almost 25 years ago, and at that time it was completely devoid of trees. Their initial plan was to regenerate the forest and practice natural farming on the land. So they began by planting fruit trees, digging open wells, banning cutting of trees, and allowing the forest to regenerate on its own. The land is called Onewadi, and it is a biodiverse forest with over 90% tree cover. It's home to more than 120 species of traditional useful plants and many species of wildlife. This is a photograph that you can see of Onewadi. And like I said, it has over 120 species of useful plants. The group, in fact, which came together, has built structures to even harvest rainwater and are reviving drying wells and dry streams. So the presence of so many trees has helped revive the groundwater. And today we are joined by Bharat Mansata, who is one of the early members of the Onewadi collective. So we are really privileged to have Bharat joining in. Bharat, request you to come in. Thank you so much, Bharat, for joining us. Could you please unmute yourself? I think you're on mute. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much. So Bharat, I was just introducing to our audience what a wonderful initiative and what a wonderful outcome Onewadi has been. And and I understand you are also a writer and an environmentalist. So I would love to kind of understand, what did the early years of Onewadi look like? How did you come up with the idea, and how did you make this happen?
Well, we were inspired by some organic farmers, natural farmers, people like Bhaskar Save, who are, giants, who have inspired three generations of organic farmers. He's passed away now. Uh, so that was the earliest inspiration. About four of us were planning to do some organic horticulture of fruits and vegetables. And we were hunting for land for a few years, 3, 4 years. Finally, we found this place, and the land had been cut about a year. Some of it had been cut just the previous year, some of it had been cut 2 years ago. But one could see that there was vigor in the land, see the regeneration, and we thought that if we could help protect that land and not have it cut again,
Hmm.
then it would come back into a wonderful forest, which it did. Otherwise, the previous owners were cutting the regrowth every 3, 4 years and selling it off as firewood.
Hmm.
And after we bought it, we stopped all the tree cutting. And of course, that was a challenge itself, because the local villagers were wondering who are these city people coming and taking these kinds of steps.
Right.
So we had to strike a fair balance. We said, okay, no cutting of trees and no hunting,
Hmm.
but we let you take firewood, we let you take minor forest produce and stuff like that. If you're not going to cut off your visits to the land,
Hmm.
and that helped. We would there was no motorable road, so we had to approach our land from either. Initially we did it from the lower village, which was the Maratha village, which were the people, the owners from whom we had bought the land, and having to go through the village, one struck up a relationship, and one made an effort to be friendly with people. They were nice people, so it wasn't really an issue, and we got them, yes, to help us. And later on, we struck up a relationship with the village which was above us, which is an Adivasi village,
Hmm.
which is actually the people who visited the land more often, because they were the ones who were collecting things from there. And it was a little closer to the Adivasi village than the lower village. But we got a lovely family from the Adivasi village to work for us, and that helped. That helped. So there was a bit of a struggle. We didn't know where our land started, where it ended. 3 years it took to do the boundary survey. Then we got ourselves dug a shallow bore and a hand pump going. We got a small, modest house going.
Hmm.
Later on, we started digging our well, and yes, those were the early years. We did plantings every monsoon. We had quite a lot of failures. But yes, we learned along the way, and we had good guidance from people like Bhaskar Save, the wonderful natural farmer I told you about.
Yeah.
So we blundered along, and didn't do too badly as time went on. Those were the early years.
Got it, got it. And so then I would imagine that you had to work a lot with the local communities living in and around that area, right? And I'm guessing their idea about the way of life and food and culture would be different. And how would you learn? How would you try and integrate them into your conservation effort? How much of a conflict was that, and or how easy was it?
Uh, for quite a while, they were wondering what we were up to. City people coming always, raises eyebrows. What do they know about the land? What do they know about the forest? What do they know about farming? Are they going to be like the normal people one has seen around? Who will come, who will just cut down every all the vegetation, and flatten the land, and put up cement poles and make houses and settlements and habitats like that, because that's the kind of experience they have had, city people coming and buying land.
Yeah.
And when they saw that, no, we weren't going to do that, you know, and we had people, offering to cut down our land and pay us money for, selling off all that firewood which we would sell, and
Hmm.
we consistently refused, and they saw that the forest was growing back, and the growing back of the forest was something which they could see as meaningful. When we bought the land, the hand pumps in the village below us, which is the Avara village,
Hmm.
would run dry in peak summer. Hmm. That's because the recharge of the groundwater aquifers would decline. You know, when you have a forest going, you have the roots, you have the organic life in the soil. They make pores in the soil, and when the rain falls, that rain gets soaked in like a sponge, and
Wow.
it recharges the groundwater. So this kind of effect uh, led to the hand pumps in the Vare village becoming perennial even in summer.
Hmm.
They had hand water for 11 months a year, and they had difficulty in the last month. But because the forest grew back, the recharge made those hand pumps perennial.
Wow.
Uh, there was the other thing, the forest provides lots of stuff to villagers, the common villagers. One is firewood, because they most of them do and still do their cooking with firewood, and if there is a forest, then we are going to get some firewood. So we made some routes there too, we said that, look, you can collect dry wood. Of course, it's for them, they do prefer dry wood because it is lighter and it burns better. But we made a strict rule that, look, if you're going to cut trees, we are going to get strict and not allow you. Not that we were able to implement that, because we had a very long boundary, a very jagged boundary, and we
Hmm.
never could manage to erect a barrier, any kind of barbed wire fence, because it would have been too expensive for us, and we didn't want to go in that direction.
Right.
So social relationships was our best bet, and it helped. It helped. We we did have incidents of tree cutting,
Right.
but because the the wood, the logs would have to go through either the lower village or the upper village. And because we had good relationships with the villagers, both in the Adivasi village above us as well as the Maratha village below us,
Yeah.
they knew that if they did it on a larger scale, we would get to know,
Hmm.
and it would get and it would recoil on them. So we had instances of one or two or three trees getting logged for people to construct their houses
Right.
and stuff like that. But we didn't have extensive tree cutting, barring one or two instances. We had an instance of a lot of our care trees. Care is a very valuable tree,
Hmm.
from where they make this katha of the pan,
Right.
uh, and the hardwood of the tree, even 20 years ago was the price of badam pista, 200, 300 rupees a kilo, and they had these what they call care mafias,
Hmm.
groups of three, four people working, four, five people working in a team, two of them keeping watch and two of them cutting the trees and sneaking them out, because they would get an excellent price of that.
Right.
So we did lose some of our care trees. We did lose some of our grown teak trees, but it was always small percentage, 1%, 2%, and the regrowth of the rest of the forest was was good. So by and large, we managed pretty well. Yes.
Got it. Got it. Wow, that's amazing. That actually shows how much hard work has gone in getting to where it is today. Really, hats off to you and the entire team for this. The other question I really have is, how do we, how do you ensure that this what I like to call the Onewadi model, how do you ensure that this is economically sustainable so that more people can take up such conservation efforts?
Well, we one of the one of the understanding which we had earlier was that we were not going to get into this with a commercial motive.
Okay.
The primary objective was ecological, and that was our primary guideline. Ecological audit would determine what we did.
Hmm.
Our presence should help regenerate the land, but not cause any degradation.
Hmm.
And there was possibility of making money, but we didn't go down that path because our expenses were low. We were consciously keeping our expenses low,
Right.
and we were taking contributions from our members.
Right.
Annual contributions. It was a modest contribution. Initially, it was like 6,000 rupees a year per member. That went up to 7,000, 7,800, and even as of now, it is about just 10,000 rupees a year per member, and most of it goes to cover our salaries, uh, and
Hmm.
so
That's
we didn't really look for
right.
earning an economic profit, but
Wow. Yeah.
the regeneration of the land was adding to the ecological capital all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, that's fantastic, right? I mean, looking at ecological capital more than the economic capital
yeah.
is definitely a much larger cause to work towards. So, thank you once again, Mr. Bharat, for doing what you do. It's overwhelmingly inspiring, I must add. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat, for joining in and sharing this with us. Is there any way people can get in touch with the Onewadi Collective? That so if anyone wants to kind of start, they're not really doing this from scratch, but if there is enough information that they can get from you to get started, is there any mechanism?
Well, we have a Banwadi Facebook page.
Okay,
It's a closed group, so people will have to ask to become a member,
right,
and people can take down my email ID, which is Bharat Mansata,
right,
BHARAT at yahoo.com.
right,
And yeah, sure, we'd be happy to help out people. There are a lot of people now who want to do this. And I think in the next years, we'll have several more initiatives like ours
right.
springing up in different parts of the country. Definitely in Maharashtra, I know of at least 2, 3 groups
Mm-hmm.
who are determined, to do it. They've got their group together. They've got their understanding together.
Right.
Two of them have already identified their land and they're setting up their basics. I think it's the right time for this to happen.
Right.
And I hope so,
Wonderful, wonderful, great. Thank you so much once again for joining in. It's really, really very inspiring. Thank you so much for what you do.
pleasure, pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was Bharat Mansata, who has converted a 24-acre previously barren patch of land into a mini forest. For those of you who joining in late, this is a show called Now More Than Ever. We bring in two positive stories. In fact, 25 Mumbaikars came together sometime back and have a 65-acre forest that they created off Mumbai, and that place now has 120 plant species. Bharat, who is one of the co-members of this initiative, was just live with us, sharing how they managed to do this, how they worked very closely with the local communities, and how now the previously dried wells actually are now perennial sources of water for the villages downstream. So what a fantastic initiative of just 24 people coming in, and this is the kind of impact. Imagine, collectively, the kind of change we can actually bring about with respect to conserving our greenery. So that was our story one. How did you like it? As always, give us suggestions in the comments below. And don't forget to join our fundraiser. We have partnered with civil service officers to raise funds for daily wage earners, migrant workers, frontline health workers. We're distributing rations, we're distributing essential medical kits. And for this, we need your help. So please click on the fundraiser link. It's there in the comment section, and join us and help out. All right. So now the second story. Our second story of the day is of a Corona warrior who is actually coming to the rescue of migrant workers and daily wage earners who face difficulties in withdrawing cash during this lockdown. Now, so because of this, shutdown, lockdown, many people have lost their only source of income and face severe shortage of cash. Right? It's just not possible to walk down to the nearby ATMs. It's very hard. And many of them, in fact, have bank accounts. If you look at the daily wage earners, migrant workers, a lot of them do have bank accounts which were opened under either the Jan Dhan or the Manrega, but they have really no idea how to withdraw money and even don't have ATM cards, many of them. So here's where 45-year-old Mumbai resident John Pereira has come in and has become a savior for stranded workers who cannot avail bank services but need cash immediately. And this is a photograph of John. He's the Maharashtra man who's providing free banking to migrant workers who are stuck without cash. How is he doing this? And that's really what I'm going to be talking to you about. Now, he runs a money transfer business. John runs a money transfer business and regularly helps these workers transfer money back to their families. But right now, he is using the Aadhaar-enabled payment system, AEPS, to help them withdraw cash from their accounts. Now, this is, of course, a government-authorized facility. Most of you might know it, that allows people to withdraw money directly by using their Aadhaar card linked to their Jan Dhan or the MGNREGA accounts, or by scanning their biometrics. Now, Pereira has waived off his commission and waived off his commission entirely for providing this service during the lockdown. In fact, sometimes the system runs out of cash, and he even pays out the money from his own account. He also, of course, has to rush to the bank every now and then to keep his cash supply running. And here's a quote that he told us, that these people need our help now more than ever. I do not want to make any profits during this crisis. I'm keeping my business open to support the poor and needy, says John Pereira. That is John Pereira of Mumbai, who is running a free banking service to enable daily wage earners to get access to cash immediately in lieu of this whole lockdown. And that was story 2 of this show, Now More Than Ever. Do let us know, what do you think of the show? Do you like the stories? What are the kind of stories you would like us to cover? We want to hear from you, and we want to tell you to tell your friends and family to watch this show, because it's important to spread positivity and hope and inspiration now more than ever. We will be back tomorrow with another set of 2 awesome, inspiring stories. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. on the same channel, facebook.com/thebetterindia. Keep watching. Thank you.